Hello everyone, it's time for the bonus video segment from this week's Southwest Outdoors report for members only from our white bass fishing springtime spawning trip up the Brazos River. Now, as we mentioned, the same techniques that we're using on this episode can be used in lots of places around our Southwest region this time of the year. Now, I trust that you've actually seen the show by now. If you haven't, you'll need to go to our website right on the front page, click on the play button and watch the episode, and a lot more of what I'm about to tell you will make sense. So let's start off by telling you that the stretch of the Brazos River that we were fishing in particular on this episode was the far upper stretch above Lake Whitney. Now let's go to a map and show you that we actually launched the boat at the Kimball Bridge. Kimball Bridge is located right on the highway that comes south out of Cleburne and Rio Vista, Texas, and crosses the Brazos River. And there's a good Corps of Engineers park that's located right at that bridge. Got a pretty good boat ramp, and you can launch there as long as there's a decent water in the river. I'm not sure the exact level that ramp becomes unusable. A little further up, there is another one, but it becomes unusable at a much higher level. It's Hamm Creek Park. So those are the two places you can actually launch into the river until the water level gets too low to do that. But as of the time we shot this show, both of those ramps were accessible. Both of them were usable. Now, once we launched there, we ran upstream to the northwest around several big bends till the water shallowed out to about 5 feet deep on the ledges. That's a little deeper in the channel, dropped off to about 10 feet in the channel, but we ran probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 4 miles, 5 miles, something like that, upriver. And then we started catching these fish along sandy and rocky shorelines. And as you saw, we caught some really good female white bass. They are actually in the process of spawning, big fat bellies on them. They're laying their eggs, and then the males are coming and fertilizing them. Now, the technique that we used to catch most of the fish on this episode was using a spinning rod like we showed you. This is a 7-foot Lew's Tournament SL speed stick rod. It's a medium weight rod. It's got a Lew's speed spin reel on it, spooled up with Stren sonic braid line, and then I've got a leader on the end of this. It's fluorocast leader, and I put about 6 feet of it or so. The baits that we used mostly to catch these white bass is this one. It is a lead head, and on that we rigged a Bobby Garland stroller. This is a little soft plastic bait, and it's got a swim tail on it so that when you reel it through the water, this tail inverts, turns like this, and kicks back and forth, imitating a shad or a minnow. Now let me show you the technique that pretty much that we used to catch the fish. All we did was just threw it out at the shoreline for the most part, put the rod tip down, and then started a slow, steady retrieve to make that stroller tail swim back and forth. In fact, there's so much action on that tail that it actually makes your rod tip twitch as it comes back in. But most of the time, those fish would hit it on a slow, steady retrieve, and they would absolutely slam it. So again, pitching it out there, sometimes they would hit it right up on the ledge, right as it falls off the shore. And those are the fish that are actually in the process of spawning up on the sand. And then others would hit it out over this 6, 8, and 10 feet of water. They'll come up and grab it from that deep water as well. But a slow, steady retrieve seemed to be the best. Now, we also did catch some on a Strike King red eye shad, which is a lipless rattling crankbait. Use that on a bait cast rod and reel. Again, throwing it in those same places, slow, steady retrieve. Those are two baits that worked real well for us. But others that will work, a little spoon, a little small swimming spoon works great. A little small short-billed crankbait works well as well, and you can catch these fish trolling. We saw lots of people trolling this river today. They all seem to be catching some white bass. All you do is throw it behind the boat, put the outboard motor in low gear, and go at a very slow speed. Hold that rod out to the side of the boat about 30 to 40 yards behind the boat, and again, those white bass would slam it as well. So several techniques are working. Again, this will work right now. Lots of places around our region. Another great place is the Sabine River above Toledo Bend Reservoir. Huge white bass live in that stretch of the river. The Angelina above Sam Rayburn works well. Stretches of the Trinity River work well above Lake Livingston in particular. And then the Illinois River in Oklahoma. Those are just a few of the places where the white bass fishing is red hot right now, but we are right in the middle of the spawn. They're going to be doing this for the next 2 to 4 weeks, something in that neighborhood. The water's just now warm enough for it to begin to happen. It happens first in the southern part of our region, down in South Texas, transitions to Central Texas, where we are right now. It has not started for the most part in Oklahoma and Arkansas, but that's coming next. So we're right in the middle of the white bass run right now. Go out, have some fun, catch some white bass, and I'm glad you joined us on this week's members only bonus video. We'll see you next week right back here on the show.